Hi, everybody, and welcome to Wouldn't It Be Fun? I'm Amy Snell, and I am very happy to be joined this month by my guest, the iconic Orange Lady, Gaye Glasspie. Welcome, Gaye.
Hello.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Wouldn't It Be Fun? There's that thing that I forget to do
I'm
all the
Amy
time.
Snell, and
I have to mute on YouTube Live because we are on YouTube Live and we're also here on Zoom. And I want to just say a welcome to everybody here, our audience members who are joining us live on Zoom. Thanks for logging in. We're going to have some time toward the end for audience Q&A. So those of you who are here in the Zoom audience, you can go ahead and put your questions in the chat as we talk today, and I'll make sure that we get to them toward a little later on in the broadcast. Gigi, you are, in addition to being a knitter, a lot of people know you as an influencer in the knitting world, and I mean that description influencer in the best possible sense of the word. In your online presence, your blog, your social media accounts, your virtual appearances, you've influenced me, certainly, but countless others to be better versions of ourselves by bringing this incredibly authentic you-ness to everything you do. You talk about hard things in a really authentic way. And I have to wonder what gave you the courage to put yourself out there like that?
I don't even know if I would use the word courage. First, hi, everybody, and thank you for being here. I can honestly tell you the word or the term influencer is not one of my favorite words because you say influencer and people believe that the reaction or the interest in or the support of is all there because someone's paying them to do it, right? And that is so not the case for me. When you see me excited and all giddy about something, that is my gut reaction. That is me at the core of who I am. And as far as me being vulnerable and just having conversations in a way that are palatable. I think that's the trainer in me. I worked for Verizon for 20 some odd years. And my initial promotion was a trainer. So I would always say that I'm not good at patting myself on the back, but one thing that I will say that I am a good trainer. I can figure out your mode of learning and get it to you the way that you will receive it. So I think that's what makes those difficult conversations easier for people to hear from me because I make them palatable. I don't, no one wants to feel like they're being attacked. No one wants to feel like they're being accused, but I still need you to hear me, right? So my goal is always to make you comfortable enough to listen to something that you wouldn't necessarily listen to, right? Make you listen to something that under normal circumstances, your first instinct would be to defend yourself, right? And I don't want you to do, you need to hear. And so I go out of my way to find analogies and things of that nature to make it palatable because these are conversations that we need to have. And like I always tell people, you don't have to make grand confessions about anything, but look in your own mirror. And if this is something that you need, take what you need from it. And if it's not something that you need, leave it where you found it. Like it doesn't apply to everyone. So I try to have the conversation in such a way that it'll make people comfortable enough to be willing to listen to me and really take what I'm having to say, think about it, and then have the conversation versus the gut instinct is to fight me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate what you said about the word influencer. I hadn't thought of it in that way. And maybe that's me sort of showing my age. That I think about you as someone who influences me, and it's your words and this sort of way that you seem to live your life bringing you bring your fears and you put them on social media. You bring your successes and you bring them out there and you talk about the things that hurt, and all of that really strikes a chord for me.
I think if we stop running from what we're afraid of, from my point of view, if I put my fears out there, you can't use them against me. I take the power away from you. because I'm already admitting that I'm afraid of it. It's not something that you can take and bang over my head. Does that make sense? Like, I don't think that me sharing what I'm afraid of makes me any more vulnerable. I actually think it makes me less vulnerable, because if I hide something that I'm afraid of and somebody knows about it, they can use that to try to control me. Right. So I put it all out there. Like,
Yeah.
I try to tell people I am just a knitter. I just so happen to maybe know a few more people, or maybe a few more people know about me than they knew about you. But at the end of the day, I'm just a knitter, just like you. Like, I met a woman this weekend, and I was talking to somebody else, and I always notice when people notice me, right? So I saw her, but she was just standing there. She wouldn't say nothing. So I finally said hi, and she's like, I think this is what they say when they feel starstruck. And I was like, but why? She was like, because I don't believe that I'm standing here and I'm talking to you. And I'm like, but why? So she pulls her shirt down, and she had on one of my t-shirts underneath her sweater. So I'm like, thank you. And she was like, I said, but didn't you come here to see me? She said, no, I didn't know you were going to be here. I just happened to stop in because I wanted to see her daughter's favorite color is orange. And she said, I was coming here to see what they had. And she said, and I was like, it's her. And I was like, but I don't get that. Like, I've said before, I don't know the Gigi that you feel like you should have on your podcast. Like, I don't know her. I'm just me. It's just that I'm me on a platform where more people get to know me. But I don't, like, I'm always pleasantly surprised when people are just like, oh my God, it's you. And I'm like, I be looking around like, it's who? What are you talking about? Like, it's just me. Like, I'm just a knitter, just like you. And you probably are better than me because I still have a lot of things to learn. But, so I guess what I'm trying to say, I don't like the pedestal that people put me on. Like, we joke, like you said, the iconic orange lady. I don't know that everybody knows that story, but it was at Rhinebeck, not this last one. I didn't go to the last one prior to before the world went crazy. And Adela and I and Vincent, and who else was with us? Mel, I think. We had sat down to eat. And this young lady walks up to me and she says, excuse me, do you have an Instagram account? And I said, yes, I do. She says, are you the iconic orange lady? I said, iconic? Adela was like, I'm not calling you that. She was instantly, she was like, I am not. I was like, am I iconic? And Adela was like, oh my God. So then Shelby calls me on the phone because she was driving up. And I answered the phone and she's like, Mom, where are you? I'm parking, blah, 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 blah. So I answered her. Then I said, wait a minute, what'd you call me? She said, huh? I said, what did you call me? She said, Mommy? I said, I'm the iconic orange lady. My child hung up on me. She was like, click, I'm not dealing with that. So like when people see that, I always feel like I have to share that story because I didn't name myself that. Like I never do. Like I have the goddess up there, right? Squam, Elizabeth, the director of Squam. I went to the first event that I did with them. It was like my first speaking event on a panel. Got to the hotel. They were like, oh, we have a welcome package for you. And I'm like, oh. So I thought it was from the hotel. But then when I get upstairs and I open it and I'm reading it to Shelby, I said, oh, Shelby, look, it says the orange goddess. Shelby was like, bye, Ma. And she just, so it's always someone else giving me these names because once again, I'm just a knitter. I just happen to like orange is all.
Well, and I think we all know that you like orange,
A little
but
bit.
but we might not all know how the orange kind of came to be. I don't know. We call it your signature or so associated with you. I know this is that you have loved orange for a really long time, right?
All my life. And this part of my story, I always say to people that it's heavy, right? Because in my community or my culture, being dark skinned was always frowned upon. Okay. If you were dark skinned, you were considered ugly, unattractive. And one of the things we were always told, we couldn't wear bright colors because we were so dark. So I hid the fact that orange was my favorite color all of my life. Like I'm 55. I just started sharing with the world that I love orange when I turned 50. It's something about turning 50 for those that are not there yet. It's like you get this automatic, I don't give a shit. It just, you know, but it was then. And I tell people all the time that it's so much now because I'm trying to make up for lost time. Like I might have had a little something that was orange somewhere, but now I'm just like, you can see me from the moon on an average day. Like I'm not putting on airs. This is just who I am. Like, and then when I don't wear it, or if I don't have it on, the people that notice is always shocking. Because I went to the post office the other day, and the young lady was like, I don't think I've ever seen you when you weren't covered in orange. She's like, are you okay? And I was like, I'm fine. I just had on a sweatsuit and I just ran in the mailbox, but that's what it is. And so it's more than the color. It's really about me coming into my own. It's really about me accepting that there's nothing wrong with me. Like I lived most of my life thinking that I was unattractive. So when people are like, oh my God, Gigi, you're so pretty. That's hard for me to hear because it took me to get to 50 to look in the mirror and like what I see, right? Whether it was because of my dark skin or my weight, I always make light of the fact that I have two twins that live on my chest because I have very, I say I'm blessed in the chest. I make light of it, but it took me to get to 50 till I was a little bit more comfortable in the skin, literally in the skin that I am, because I was led to believe that I was not attractive because of the tone of my skin. And so now that's why you guys are getting drowned in orange, because I have to make up for 50 years of hiding it. So that's where that comes from.
Do
and
you
like literally like everything. Like I lose stuff on my bed if it's orange because my comforter is orange. And I'm like, Shelby, I can't. She said, Mommy, it's probably in that pile of orange in your room. Like, seriously, just move some stuff. It's got to be right there. But it's bad.
Where's good?
It makes me happy. So,
Which is such a fabulous message, and I think that's something that just brings me joy when I read your words online. You are all about what makes us happy, what makes you happy, and I think in sharing that, I think you make a lot of us happy when we read your words.
oh, thank you. I'm happy. I'm glad. I'm glad because I know, even in the midst of an onslaught of support and an onslaught of love, one or two negative things, for whatever reason, shines the brightest, right? So unless you lived under a rock, you're aware of the discord that's happening once again in the knitting community, right? And if I really pay attention, I've had nothing but support. I've had nothing but people that were prepared to stand beside me, in front of me, to fight for me, to stand up for me. But the people that said the ugly things, the people that wanted to write articles without even getting my input, those were the things that stuck out for me, right? And I really had to come to terms with that. Like, why am I allowing the few negative things to overpower, right? And what made that come home for me was, again, at the yarn shop Saturday. Once again, I actually was talking to the woman that had this shirt on. There was a woman standing behind her that I noticed that kept staring at me, but it was obvious that she was waiting for me. So when I stopped talking to the other woman, she had her back turned to me. She turned around and she had a bouquet of orange roses. And she
I
said,
saw the picture.
yeah, she said, I drove down here because I needed you to know that we are here for you. We love you. We're supporting you. She said, and we're standing with, listen, I fell apart. Like all of the negativity that was making me angry, making me feel like I had to fight back, like that love from a stranger knocked me over. Like Shamika was standing there and she was vlogging for Vlogmas, and it took her a minute before she realized that I was crying, and she was rubbing my back and she was like, no, Gigi, we love you. We're here. We have you. And then she was like, oh God, like I really need to hug you. And I told her, thank you for giving me the protection of her hug so I could hide. Cause I really like the love knocked me over. Like and it's a shame because we're used to the negativity. right? We're used to the hate. We expect the hate. How sad is that, right? That one little gesture, the fact that she bothered to find some orange flowers floored me. Like I had to finally just go in the bathroom, and it took then for my child to say, wait, are you crying? Like, cause she was in the back of the store and she's like, mommy. And I'm like, I just went in the bathroom. Like I had to get myself together, but I don't know why human nature, we're that way. Like if I sit back and read all the comments, all the emails I've gotten, all the messages, people that are just throwing money at me. Gigi, do you have it? No, I don't. Stop. Like if you're going to buy something, fine, but you don't need to do that. I appreciate your support. But it was those little negative things that was controlling me. And I really had to sit down and come to terms with that. Like I'm allowing those few negative things to drive this train, and everybody on the train is positive. So I had to shift that in my mindset a little bit, because it's been a tough week. And it's easy to be nasty online when you're not in somebody's face. So it's been tough, but it's been more support and love. And that's what I'm going to dwell on. I'm going to just ignore the rest of that. So that's where I am with that. I know a lot of folks are looking to hear, my point of view on that. And I just, the sad part is it's the facts of life for a Black person, to just be really raw about it. But I can say that I've had more support, more positive reactions than negative. So I'm grateful for that. I really am.
That's really awesome. It's good to hear. It's good to hear.
Yeah.
And I think you're talking about some sort of universal human truths. I don't know. I don't know anybody that doesn't look at the negative things and take them so much more to heart. I know I do it. I know I can look at a report of like the surveys from when I teach a class, and there can be like 19 really awesome, wholly positive things. And one person says something and it might not even be about me,
Yep.
But like, that's what I remember.
Yep. And I don't know why we're that way. Just like we were talking before we went live, right?
Yeah.
And you said something about not being comfortable when people said no to you, right? Mm-hmm. And I shared with you that I am, like I just said, 20 some odd years with Verizon. And my first step into management was a trainer. But prior to that, I was a salesperson. I was on the phone. I had to sell whatever the products were. When we started, it was still New Jersey Bell, and all we had was call waiting, three-way calling, and speed calling, right? But no, for me, is an acronym. It means the next opportunity, right? So if you tell me no, okay, get out the way so I can get to the next person, is my train of thought, right? So I was saying to Amy, instead of being bothered when somebody says no to you, just that wasn't for you. That wasn't your opportunity. And you just need to move on to the next one, right? Don't even, I'm a firm believer in every situation in life teaches you one of two things. It teaches you what to do and what not to do. And I always say, take what you need and leave the rest there, right? So if there's something in that situation that you need to change or correct or do differently, take that with you, but leave the part that made you feel less than right there behind you and keep going to the next one. So no, it's an acronym.
That's fantastic.
It's an acronym.
Well, you're talking about leaving behind the things that aren't good, that aren't working for us, and paying attention to the things, the next thing or the thing that's going right. Obviously we've seen a lot of things that were not positive over the last couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. What are there things we're doing right as an industry, as people who want to support each other, who hopefully are hopefully there are those people out there that want to learn and get better at all of this.
And solid question, but I don't normally like answering a question with another question, but in this case I will, because how much more do you need to learn? And this is again where this is that time where you need to really just sit with yourself and say, okay, second time we're in this same situation. I can't keep saying I'm learning, because am I really, right? Or is that just a phrase to say to make it appear that I'm on the right side of this fence, right? One thing I have to say about this whole I'm better than you because I'm white and you're black, that whole lineup, right? 9 times out of 10, this is what you were taught as a kid, right? I just want to peel this back a little bit. So the way that I like to use analogies. So I'm going to use the way that I make a sweet potato pie because that's the way my grandmother taught me, right? Most people that have my pie, they want me to give them the recipe. They want me to share. And I always tell them, I can tell you what's in it, but I can't give you a recipe because my grandmother didn't measure. You know, if I asked her how much milk went in it, she would say, pour it in there. And she stir it up. Okay, that's enough. I'm like, Ma, how you know that's enough? Because it's the right color. Okay, that's the way that I was taught. Now, if somebody comes and tries to tell me a different way to make a sweet potato pie, I am going to argue with them. And they might be absolutely right. Is everybody following where I'm going? So the way that your parents taught you to see something or react to people or a person or a situation, in your mind's eyes, your mom and your dad, whoever taught you, are God to you, right? Their way is the highway, right? So somebody else try to tell you, no, you can't think that way. And even if eventually you see that what they're trying to tell you is right, you can't change overnight. In fairness, you really can't, because you've been this way all your life. And then I'll have people say to me, I would never teach my children, or my parents would never. They may not have said that we don't like Black people, but you watch them cross the street when I was on the same side of the street with them. You watch them clutch their bag. If I got closer, they didn't have to say anything. They were showing you. Does that make sense, guys? So if you grew up that way, it's not easy. Even if you want to change, you're going to meet some resistance, right? Because we're in the holiday season where everybody's together. I'm sure there were some uncomfortable conversations that you've heard throughout your lifetime that you might not necessarily have agreed with, but you didn't have the confidence or the strength to say that's not right. Right? So I believe people will change when they take the necessary steps to do it, but it's not one step. It's not going to happen overnight. And you have to come to terms with that yourself. There's nothing that any other person can make you understand. So to say to me, like when somebody says to me, oh, Gigi, I see you, right? The sarcastic me is like, of course you can. You can see me from the moon on the average day. What does that mean in relations to this battle, this divide that we have? Seeing me is not going to stop the cops from stopping me and potentially killing me, right? You know, you get stopped by a cop, you get to go home. I could go home, but I'll probably go home dead. There's a big difference. And I think, you know, instead of feeling like, you know, we're complaining, like today, for example, Dana called me DWJ. I call her the sweater whisperer. If you don't know her, look her up. She is the reason why I finally pushed past my fear of making sweaters, right? She gave me a list of different neckline. She just is a phenomenal knitter. On top of the fact that she's a professor, okay, at Howard State University. And she was in an interview today that talked about the disparity with influencers, particularly Black influencers, and the amount of money or the lack thereof that they get for their counterparts, right? So if we are going to talk about Christy Glass, we're going to talk about Christy Glass in this respect, that there were situations that I know for a fact that she was paid big money for. And they would say to me, oh, you know, Gigi, I didn't even consider asking you if you wanted me to pay you. Or they would say stuff like, well, okay, well, all I have left is really, right? So that's the kind of things that when we say there's a disparity, there is a difference. There is outwardly racist behavior taking place. And it's not me complaining. These are facts. Like I would come to someone that I thought was a friend and say, I was offered this position and they offered me X amount of dollars. Like, is that fair? Is that the running rate? Oh, yeah. For me to only find out that they got paid triple what was offered to me. So this is the gap that I say stand in, right? So when I saw that today, the interview with Dana on YouTube, it hit me in the chest because thank God for Adela, right? I can remember before we were friends, before she became like a part of my everyday life, the first time that she made yarn for me, she dyed a color that was supposed to be exclusive for me, a trio of oranges. And I carried on after I made my piece. I'm dancing and I'm being me. So everybody's like, Gigi, like, can we get, I said, she said she just made it for me, So she said, okay, I'll do one pre-order. 25 pre-orders later. But I'm sitting here and I used to have an Etsy shop. I had shut down my Etsy shop and I get a cha-ching. And that's only when somebody's buying something, right? And I looked in PayPal and I had a decent amount of money from Adela. So I call her. I'm like, what's happening? She was like, exactly what should happen. She said, you don't know the kind of money that I make. Every time you dance around, you put on something you made with my yarn. Yes, this is yours. And every time, this wasn't something that was negotiated. So she showed me my worth because I didn't realize that people was making so much money on the other side because I'm carrying on about something, right? So, Laura reached out to me. She owns Madeline Tosh, the owner of Jimmy Bean today. She said, you can stop saying that. Like, you don't have to tell people that. But she was the first one, face value. Soon as she met me the very first time and said, I know that we made this orange, the glow. It actually was at Stitches West for the first time. That's when it was launched, right? She said, we're paying you, right? And I said, what do you mean? She said, for the yarn. I said, but I don't. She said, no, you should get a percentage of any of that yarn that's sold. I was like, oh, it wasn't something I asked for. It wasn't even something that I knew could be possible. But she kicked that door open, right? And I would always say, Madeline Tosh is the only one that has a yarn that's named after me, and I get a check from them once a quarter, right? Now, it's like it's opened up the door. Other companies that have dyed yarn on my behalf, because I've had so many companies say to me, I couldn't give away orange yarn before you came on the scene, right? So if my influence is driving the sales for your orange yarn, the fact that I'm Black shouldn't stop you from thinking that you should do the right thing. You know what I mean? So it felt good that, you had companies step up and say, you know what, Gigi, I'm sorry, I didn't even think about that. But yeah, let me just do some real quick bookkeeping. We owe you some money, right? So it's an uphill battle and it shouldn't be, but I'm willing to climb that hill. So those that are coming behind me, the hill is not as steep, right? We shouldn't have to check around and, is it fair? Am I getting fair pay? And why am I not getting, just because I'm Black? But I bring as many people as the next person. Like, not for nothing, I'm very protective of my following, because my following, I'll tell people, no, don't give me nothing because I know you just want me to have it because you're trying to get to my audience. And I'm very, no. If it's something that I've just come across that I really love, I'm me, fine, I'll share. But when it became very obvious that folks wanted to get on my back because they saw the buying power of my little orange corner, and I'm very protective. No, thank you. Because in all honesty, what I'm getting ready to say right now is going to come across as very cocky, and it's not, but it's true. I don't need nobody's yarn ever because I have Adela. Honestly, when I see something, I say, oh, you see this pattern? And she said, what, let me see, where is it? Send it to me. What size are you making? All right, I got it. And she don't even ask me what color I want. She dyes it up and she sends it to me. So I try to tell people, like, telling me you can dye orange yarn for me is okay. I'm not impressed. I can get any shade of orange I want. You know what I mean? But I just appreciate companies that are willing to collaborate with me and treat me as a human, right? Remove the she's white, I'm black out of it, right? Am I driving business your way? Are you selling more orange yarn because of me? Then react to that, not my skin color. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I'm happy to say, again, I can sit here and harp on the negative stuff, but it's been more positive stuff, even in that respect. Like I've had to, it's taken some people a little longer to come on board, but they're like, Gigi, I feel like an idiot. Like I didn't even think about that. And, you know, and just autocorrect and did what needs to be done. But it's not easy being a Black person in a predominantly white space. But I love it here and I'm not going anywhere. So I just build my little orange corner, and whoever wants to come hang out with me is welcome. And, you know, we try to shield the nonsense away from everybody. So
I'm glad you're not going anywhere, and I'm
yeah,
sure everyone here is glad to hear you're not going anywhere.
yeah, no.
'Cause you bring so much to the knitting universe, and here again, I think you even just what you're saying, shedding such light on sort of how the knitting industry works. And a
Mhm.
lot of people don't see that, and it's a lot of people who are individual entrepreneurs, or one or two people that maybe, even the dyers and stuff, these are big companies for the most part. I mean, there are big companies involved,
Mhm.
but it's a lot of little people. And a lot of people come in and they don't always know how it's done. And
Mhm.
people don't always know like what's fair pay for different things in the industry. And there's not a lot of places where you go and find that out.
Yeah, yeah. I've been blessed that I've crossed paths with some folks that, for lack of better words, I'll fight you for. You know, they have been sincere, like Laura Zander, the owner of Jimmy Bean, from one, Shelly from Knit Stars, just another. I've met some people that have shared things. Gigi, you should do this. Gigi, have you ever thought about this? Did you think about this, doing this? You should reach out to this one and you should do this. And, because according to Laura, we need to paint the world orange. Like, she was funny. She was walking through Stitches West. Every time she walked past me, Gigi, I'm like, yes. She's, are you a millionaire? We're gonna make you a millionaire. I'm not, but yeah, let's do that. I like that. Like, just sincere, not looking for anything from me, but really just wanted to help me or give me a hand up in an industry where they know that's not the norm. Right. So I've been blessed in that respect, that I have met, and now I've met some not so good people. We're not gonna harp on that. The good people are the good people, and so far it's outweighed the nonsense. Right. So I can't complain. I really can't. It has been an amazing ride. I still am like, I've had people walk up to me and they'll start crying, and I'm like, why are we crying? Because I don't let people cry by themselves. So tell me why we're crying, because I'm going to be crying with you in 2 seconds, but I don't understand why we're crying. What is going on? You don't understand. You inspire me. Okay, but I don't want to inspire you to cry though. Let's not cry. Let's find something to laugh about, but I enjoy meeting people. I've met some wonderful people. Um, and I don't know that I would change anything. The bumps, the bruises, the hurt feelings, the learning, the good stuff, the laughing. I don't know if that would change any of it. It all has made me who I am, and where I am. Like when I shift gears slightly, like I started doing my Monday mood on my newsletter, because every week Monday you hear, oh God, it's Monday again. Why do we feel like that? Are we blessed to have opened our eyes on the other side again? Like, you got an opportunity. Let's say last week was the worst week of your life. You got opportunity to do better. Start all over again, right? So, I've had so many people say to me, like I have one of my followers every week. She's like, did you start yet? I'm like, did I start? Well, the book. You need to write all this down. She said, because I would buy this booklet and buy it for my daughter. She needs it. You should, so I always have these people that are in my head that are like, you need to do this. You ever think about this? You ever think about that? And again, I say, I don't know that woman that you guys think can write a book. Like, I don't know the woman that you guys think should have a Patreon. I'm like, what is that? And why would anybody pay me To do what? You know, like I'm that person. That's what I need people to understand. Like I'm not this iconic anything. I'm Shelby's mother. I get mad when Gunner wakes me up at 4 o'clock in the morning, like he did this morning, to go outside. I'm normal, like everybody else. I really am.
I heard you say something really similar when you were talking about being on Knit Stars, that you had a similar reaction. Like, did you not think that you should have been there?
Listen to me. I wish Shelly could be, we could pop her in this screen. That poor woman. You talking about somebody who grabs a hold of you and won't let go. I probably told her no 5,000 times. Like, I don't, Shelly, like I appreciate you what you think you know about me or what you think I'm capable of, but I've purchased Knit Stars. I've watched the seasons. I am so not that. Like I just she would not to this day. There's still stuff that she's trying to get me to do that she will not let go. She's like, no, you need Gigi. Come listen to me, you know, and I'm glad she didn't let go, right? Because I'm still that insecure little girl who was told she wasn't pretty, right? I'm still that little girl who was told she was too dark to wear, you know, be quiet. You know, you shouldn't be heard, be seen, go sit down somewhere. I'm still her. So when people um present opportunities to me that are far-fetched in my mind, I'm like in the beginning, when this all blew up in 2019, everybody wanted a part of me. Could you come speak at my speak? What and say what? Like you know, and then I'm like, I don't even know who you are. So by the time I started researching, I'm like, you know, when I would come back, this, oh, you didn't answer us, so we have somebody else good, because that wasn't meant for me. Because you know, can you be our keynote speaker? Who did you send the right email to the right person? Keynote me? Like, you know, I'm like, we can sit and talk, but putting the keynote on it makes it something else that I don't visualize myself as, right? Like the first time, you know, it was suggested that I write an article. I'm not a writer. They're like, do you read your Instagram? You write every day. I'm like, you know, but that's just exactly. You could be paid to put that in the magazine. I'm like, so that's what I think I need people to take away from me, right? Whatever it is that whatever stools you put under my feet, however high you deem to lift me, you're that person too, right? I try to tell everybody, you are me. You're just like me. You don't have confidence in yourself. You don't see yourself the way other people do. Whatever it is that you want to do, whatever it is you deem is possible, or you even if you think it's impossible, I'm here to tell you it's not. If you just go ahead, like I say, I pack my fears in my bag and I go anyway, right? I'm waiting for the day that y'all get tired of looking at orange. I know it's coming, but you know, I show up every time anyway. But that's just who I am. And I think once people have this type of intimate conversation with me, they're like, oh, okay, she's just like me, pretty much. Pretty much. You know, I make people laugh. You know, my laptop has an orange cover on it, you know, and it was in the middle of COVID. I couldn't find my laptop. So I said to Shelby, have you seen my laptop? She said, your MacBook? I'm like, yeah. She said, why would I see that? I said, I can't find it. She said, Ma, you ain't been nowhere. Like, did you take it in the living room with you? And I'm like, I can't find it. And I'm getting frustrated because where's my laptop? Like, I don't understand. And Gunner, my dog, he's a pit bull. So nobody got in here, got past him, came in my room, took my laptop, got past him again. You know, like, where's my laptop? I'm flipping out. I'm in the bathroom. I went in the kitchen. I don't understand how I can't find an entire laptop. And I sit down out of frustration and I slam my hand down and I almost break my wrist because my laptop was sitting right there. It had an orange t-shirt on top of it, which kind of camouflaged it. And yeah, that. So I'm normal.
You've talked before about it. You, as you said tonight, you talked about yourself as just a knitter, and maybe there's still stuff you might learn as a knitter. But you know, I loved some of the stuff you posted in the past about things that you knit that you didn't think you were going to be able to knit.
Yes.
Like what were the big hurdles for you that you challenged yourself with in knitting?
So I can say to you guys, when I first, for those that don't know, I started knitting at a very, not started, I really dug in my heels with knitting at a very dark time in my life. In 2012, I call it my storm. I left, my dad died suddenly. A couple of weeks later, my mom died, and then I lost my job. Like, this was from April to July of 2012, right? And I just felt like I was in a corner, I was getting attacked. I don't know why I was getting attacked, and I don't know who was attacking me. It was just, I had enough. And I knit, right? But then I knit, I was go big or go home was my philosophy. So, the big bulky stuff is what I did. And I always would say, you know, you look at the sweaters, the Rhinebeck sweaters and all that other stuff, and with the fingering weight, that was for real knitters. And I wasn't a real knitter. Nobody said that to me. That was my own claim to fame. And for whatever reasons, I was afraid, or in my mind's eye, I put this skill set on knitting with fingering weight yarn. I don't know why, but in my mind, it had to be harder than the big stuff that, I was making 2, 3, 4, 5 things a week because, you just popping stuff out. So the first time that I made a fingering weight sweater, I was like, I can do this, and so my sheer excitement is really that, because I have to convince myself otherwise. Like when I made my Frankie sweater and I had pockets for the first time. Well, Jesus, you would have thought that I won $1 million lottery, because every day as I went further, I was like, this is really going to be a pocket that you can put your hand in. Like I was so excited. I had everybody up in arms about pockets, because they, to this day, if I'm somewhere at a knitting event and I have on that, somebody will walk up to me and say, Gigi, can I put my hands in the pocket? I was like, go ahead, go ahead. Go ahead. you go ahead, go ahead. Hey, it's special, right? Because I was just, and I think that's just me naturally being me, because I convince myself otherwise. And that's one of the things that I say, watch your mouth, right? Self-talk is so powerful. I don't care what anybody else says to you, but what you say to yourself becomes the gospel, right? So when you tell yourself you can't do something, when you tell yourself you're not worthy of something, it ain't nothing nobody else can do to make you see past that until you decide. So everybody else saying to me, well, I can show you how to do that, blah, blah, because I had to convince myself that I couldn't. Nothing anyone else said was going to make me feel otherwise until I just did it, right? So when I, like my, hold on, guys. Oh. This long summer cardigan, I already told my daughter I am to be buried in it, because this was done on a US 3 needle with fingering weight. And when I started doing the swatch, and I don't swatch, I'm terrible. But I made the swatch, and Hohi, this is Hohi, a Hohi Locatelli design. Hohi says, Gigi, that's a commitment. I said, are you encouraging me? Are you discouraging me? Like, are you telling me I can't do this? It took me 4 months, guys, to make this thing. And when I tell you, I have never been more proud of myself ever. Because when I read the pattern and it said US, Hohi, I thought we were friends. So I'm not understanding why anybody would design something that will take a lifetime to knit at that gauge. However, this material that I created is just like, when I wear it and somebody says, oh, that's beautiful, where'd you get it from? And I was like, I made it. They said, no, that. I'm like, no, yeah, I made it. Right. So yeah, you got to get out your own head, because nobody told me that I couldn't. I told myself that. So if you take nothing away from me, watch your mouth. Be nice to you, because there's enough people in the world that's going to be mean to you. You got to be nice to you. So that's what that's about. I had to get out of my own way and realize that a knit stitch, whether it's on a US 19 needle or US3, God, why would they make something so small? It's still a knit stitch, right? It's still a purl stitch, regardless to what size the yarn is, or the size needle you use. The stitches are the same. And I had to, because I was convinced that there was some sort of magic that happens when you use finger and weight yarn. And now I'll cast on a sweater. Like, it's second nature to me, where there was a time where I was petrified. And now I just, there's certain things like brioche. Like, I've done it before. And that's why, like, again, in my head, I don't know why brioche is an issue. I have done it before, but I avoid it. Like, if I see something I like, I'm like, that's brioche, next, So.
So what are you working on now?
Well, I just finished.
I think I saw that on Instagram.
Yes. This is the someday beret. I just finished this. I am not good at, I want to say this, multiple whips. I don't get how people have 5,000 projects going at once, because something's going to get dropped. And this is what's been getting dropped. So when we finish, I am going to start knitting on this, because I'm just about to finish line. But this is the Simple Swancho. It comes from Modern Daily Knittings. They're
That's Karita Collins, right?
Right. This is the Karita Collins beginning. This is the Karita Collins field guide number 18. And if you follow me for a while, you know that I have a problem reading. I always tell people, if you don't want me to know something, put it in the middle, because I read the beginning and the end. And I always find that my mistake, it was right there in the middle. I just didn't read it. And that's what happened on this. The actual pattern, the cables are longer, because I crossed too soon with my cable. But as I look, I was like, I like my little tight cable. So I just kept going. But I'm notorious for, and then I feel bad because people will say, well, can we get Gigi's modifications? It's not a modification, people. It's a mistake. I like the M word. You make me feel good. I did not do it on purpose. But this is what I'm working on now. So I think I need to get to I need to measure. I think I needed to get 8 inches or something here before I started doing the ribbing for the bottom. And then I figured out how to do 2 sleeves at a time. So that's probably what I'm going to do with the sleeves. Somebody said design element. Yeah. The problem is, that's easy to say, right? Because do I have it close? I made a it was supposed to be more of a tee, and mine came out like a tank top earlier this year, and everybody was like, oh, Gigi, I like your version. What'd you do? I'm like, what'd you mean? So I look at the pattern. I said, oh, yeah, mine is a little bit different. And then I'm talking to the designer, and she was like, so you decided to keep on decreasing? I said, you was just so kind. Is that what I did? I decided. I just didn't read. It said keep decreasing. I kept decreasing. Then I'm like, why is this? Wait. And I was like, oh, so I just made this back match the front. And bound off. I was like, oh, this is cute. But then everybody was like, well, no, we want Gigi's version. Guys, stop giving me all that credit. I made a mistake. Oops. I don't know what I did. I can't, if I had to do it again, I wouldn't be able to recreate it. You know what I mean? Because even the designer, she was like, so you decided, yeah, so kind. That wasn't a decision. It was I was supposed to switch and start decreasing every 5 rows. If I would have read, I would have. But so yeah, this was what will be next. And then I have to I'm a part of the Knit Collage fall knit along. And I made my loop it up Cardi, but I also liked the poncho. So I'm gonna do the Shake Your Groove thing poncho too. And that's big yarn, so that'll be quick. So those will be, I want to at least finish those 2 before the year is out, and that'll be it for this year, I believe. unless I keep saying I want to make another one of these in the glow because I really, really, really like this. So, but
Look right
that's
now.
yeah, it worked up really quickly. I started it at the shop on Saturday and I finished it the other day. It's a quick, easy to remember, so you don't have to keep looking at the pattern. So it was good and for a good cause, right? Because the money from the community love fund goes back into the community. So um I'm always down for helping out other.
That's awesome. I just put some show notes in the chat.
Okay.
Your website and your social media handles and my website and all the places that people can find you. And
Okay.
yeah, and I want to encourage folks, if you've got a question for Gigi, this is a good time to put those in the chat. I see we've got
Yes,
some great comments. Jen said she loves your acronym for no, the next opportunity. Big
absolutely.
fan. Yeah,
Please steal it. Please
yeah.
steal it.
Yeah, and she also said she loved the photos of you in your cardigan, your Hohi cardigan. Just love those
Listen,
photos.
I'm blessed that my daughter is all for, going outside with me, taking pictures, or I have no problem with, we got 5,000 tripods. My neighbors think I'm crazy though, because I'm outside taking pictures and you can see them peeking through like, what is she doing? Because I'm outside by myself dancing and carrying on. But yeah, I can't even fathom using US3 for a sweater. Exactly. Neither could I. Neither could I. Let's
Yeah.
see.
Do you have any favorite holiday things that you're looking forward to?
Believe it or not, um, I dread the holidays. My family was very holiday oriented. So this was the first time that we've had an actual tree put up in years. I always blamed it on Gunner because I'm like, he's gonna knock it down. But he's been such a good boy. He really hasn't paid the tree any attention. Um, we usually do Kwanzaa, but COVID has knocked that down. So we've lost some folks for with COVID. So like I'm really missing the gathering. Like actually, we will all be getting together on the 18th because we lost someone and we're doing the memorial service and some family members are coming up from Virginia. So that's kind of going to be our unofficial, official kind of everybody in one spot for the first time in 2 years. But it took my daughter, because for me, once I lost my parents and I just shut down with the holidays and, like Mother's Day, she would say to me, Mom, my mother's still alive. I'm like, you're right. It's just, I wanted to say smart ass, but she was right. She, like I wrote a blog post, like Shelby still has a mother, so I have to do the hard things, for her. So she wanted a tree. We went and got a tree. So I love the holiday music, but I can tell you that I haven't turned it on yet this year. But yeah, I have my little tree that I'm going to put together. I actually just got, I have a little tree here in my bedroom on my dresser. I actually just got these in the mail from, are you guys familiar with Whitney Marie? She makes these by hand. And I just got these in the mail. So I was like, oh, it's time for me to put my little tree together. So I thought those were cute.
Those are
I like, and that's the other thing that I love about the platform that I have, my ability to do just that and help somebody else, right? Because I again, thanks to Adela, didn't realize my power, and I would like, where's my bracelet? I have a bracelet that says the word knit across it. It's like a leather band and it has metal. It says knit. I don't know. I found it. I wore it. I took a picture, and everybody was like, "Gigi, where you get that bracelet from?" So I shared the link. I didn't pay any attention. The next day, I get an email. It was the owner. She was like, "I don't know who you are." She said, "But I've had this bracelet on sale for years and nobody bought it." She said, "And all of a sudden, all hell broke loose yesterday." She said, "And I went backwards and I found you." She said, "I refunded you your money." She said, "Because I have sold more of these bracelets because you posted that picture than I ever have And I was like, oh, well, that's cool. Well, good. I'm happy, So I don't realize, but I do love that I can help somebody that might not have as big a reach, somebody else learn about them. And that's why I tell people all the time, just because you can't afford the yarn or you can't afford the pattern or you can't afford whatever it is, a share is so powerful because you never know who's in your audience that wasn't aware of this person. So, I'm aging myself when I say the grapevine is still powerful, right?
It
But
is.
a share is more powerful than you can ever imagine because you never know who you're now giving that person access to that had no idea, right? And now they go and buy everything. So know that you still have your buying power is not just your dollar. In this world of social media, you have power. You really do.
It's a great way to put it, and I love that you do find these really interesting things. I mean, you've got your earrings on from Yasmin, and I love her earrings. I
Yes,
think
yes,
everybody
yes,
loves her stuff.
yes, my
Um,
sweetheart.
yeah, you just you got great taste.
Oh, well, thank you. But that's what I say. I tell everybody I'm a walking billboard for those. Like when I go out, I got a Hohi bag on my shoulder. I got my Hohi boots on. I might have on something with yarn from Adela. I always have on my Yasmin earrings. And again, not on purpose. That's just me getting dressed. But then the conversation, oh, I love those earrings. Oh, yeah, designs by Yasmin. And oh, this, yep, here, just type it in, you'll find her. Where'd you get that yarn from? That's always a fight though, because Adela will dye oranges and things for me, but then she doesn't put them out for everyone else. And she's like, Gigi, your followers are getting on my nerves. I'm like, what do you want me to do? Not use the yarn? I'm not gonna lie and say I got her somewhere else, but yeah, I like being able, that part of it, if that is what an influencer is, and I'm very much that. If I can just by simply being who I am, helps the next person make a dollar, help the next person improve their business or have access to someone else, then absolutely. It's all about the people for me. And if I can help somebody else, get a hand up or be noticed by somebody that may not have known that they even exist, then that part of it I very much enjoy. Very much enjoy that part of it.
Thanks. That's some great messages that you've had for us all tonight, and I want to just acknowledge a couple of other great comments in the chat there. Jen said she really appreciates your mantra of "It's not hard, it's new," and said it's helped her get through so many new techniques and mental health humps this year.
Good, because and I need to say this to you guys. Like a lot of you all put all this weight or power behind things that I say. Please know that I'm talking to myself. I'm just talking to myself on Instagram. Like, the sweater, like I had to say to myself, you can do a knit stitch, you can do a purl stitch. It's not hard. It's just new. You know what I mean? It's that unknown. Like that statement say, walk by sight. No, walk by faith, not by sight, right? Who steps out and not know where your foot's gonna land? Who? Right? When you go to step down, you want to see that step. Even if you know it's there, you still look down to see that it's there. So it's hard to just simply blindly go forth, right? So when we deem something hard, we're going to hesitate. We're not going to and it's not hard. It's new, right? It's just a new staircase. It's still a step there. When you put your foot down, it's still there. It's just a different staircase, right? So it's just, twist your head. Those optical illusions. It's either the woman with her head turned or it's the horse head or something, depending on how you see it, right? That's good and bad. It really is. You can decide that you're looking at something good, or you can decide that you're looking at something. It's a decision, right? And this week I had to, like one night, the negativity, the articles, the comments under YouTube channels sent me to bed in tears, right? And I had to tilt my head so that I could see all the good stuff. Because when I was looking straight on, all I saw was the bad stuff. So I had to look at it like it was an optical illusion, and I needed to switch my head so I could see the lady with her head turned with the pearls around her necklace, right? Right. It depends on how you decide to look at it. And I really had to sit with myself for a minute and say, stop and tilt your head, because all that good is there and you're ignoring it for that little bit of bad, right? So it really is a decision that you have to consciously make.
Gigi, thank you so much for your
Thank
words tonight.
you for having me.
Thank you for
I
being here.
appreciate it. And I see some faces that I recognize. Hi, Dina. So thank you for having me. I appreciate everyone. And I'm here. I still have a few minutes if there's more questions. If somebody didn't get a question in, I'm still here for a few minutes. I'm good.
Fantastic. Well, I want to say thanks also to our audience tonight, everybody who joined us. I'm Amy Snell. I go by Devious Knitter on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and all the places. And you know, Gaye Glasspie, she is Gigi Made It on all the social media places. We put all those links in the chat for you guys. I'm here every month, and I can't tell you who next month's guest is going to be just yet, but I'm working to bring in somebody terrific. So if you want to know who and when, you can join us next. Keep following the podcast on Instagram as @Wouldn't It Be Fun.